Kalista was taken off the board. Now Azir going along with that. One of the more powerful picks in the mid lane lately is just whenever you let him poke at you, he's so strong, and especially once you get to the first couple team fights, he's just absolutely devastating. With that Emperor's Divide, just getting the whole team fight into 2 parts. Anyway, he's not going to be in the game, nor is Ryze, who's also, once he got reworked now, very terrifying.
Yeah, with the control of Sazir being away, and also Ryze just having a lot of lockdown, and with the ability to spam his powers, to spam his abilities, he will be able to just lock one down and kill them instantly, and Gnar being the last ban for Palestinia's soldiers.
He's just been so strong in the top lane. Whenever, you know, you're able to play around that rage bar, it isn't easy, but when you manage to get that rage bar full just before a fight, you've basically got full control and the enemy team can't do anything. So if you're able to use that correctly and utilize that Gnar in the team fights, he just absolutely wrecks everything. He jumps in there, uses his ultimate, and everyone gets stunned into a wall. The entire team fight can change off of that one champion. Last ban then was Alistar. He's one of the stronger supports we've actually seen coming back. He wasn't played at all about 4 months ago, and now he's picked up all the time, just because of all that peel he provides for his support, because of all the power he brings and the tankiness with that ultimate as well. Aurelia, though, the first pick here for the Palestinian soldiers.
Yeah, Aurelia brings a lot of power in the lane, and a lot of power once she gets her 24s and maybe a Blade of the Ruined King. We are starting to move away from a tanky meta into a bruisey meta, where we'll see some picks like Renekton or Aurelia, for example. So Aurelia is a really great pickup. She has always been kind of a sleeper pick. And on the opposite side, we see Morgana and Fizz being locked in.
So Morgana could still go into the mid lane if they really want her to, but I expect that one to be the support. Kind of interesting to pick that up so early when, you know, a bunch of other people like Thresh are still open. However, that Fizz is very interesting because he's going to go up against the Aurelia, and he might just go with that Smite. As Kobe pointed out last night on the LCS stream, it's not actually the most efficient way if you want to go for a Bruiser Fizz, because there are more efficient ways to build HP than the Cinderhulk. Cinderhulk is only really worth it if you pick up a bunch of other HP items later on. But Fizz doesn't really want to do that. He wants to get the Trinity Force and then a couple of cooldown reduction items, so he can really do the most with just his base damage, which is what a Bruiser Fizz really relies on. So he's not gonna, you know, he's gonna waste a little bit of gold there. It's not gonna be the absolute strongest thing, but it's still very, very powerful, and I'm definitely looking forward to see how he matches up against that Aurelia, who's currently still running the Ignite, so would have the edge in head-to-head combat.
Yeah, and Palestina soldiers decides to pick up Nidalee and Sivir as their next pickups. And with the Sivir, they have a lot of engage, which works really well with the Aurelia, who can get into the fights faster, and then just lock someone down while Nidalee perhaps lands a spear and jumps in and kills that person, while Sivir is just not the target that you want to go for, with Aurelia being on your backline.
It's kind of weird though, because lately, especially Aurelia and Sivir are very all-in. You know, Aurelia only has one way to go. She dashes forward, tries to stun, and do her whole damage combination on the backline of Enigma. However, Sivir, the ultimate kind of does the same thing. It speeds everyone up. You either use it to disengage to then fight on different terms later, or you use it as an engage to chase down the enemy team. However, Nidalee, she doesn't really want to do that. She wants to poke with her spears and kind of run around the fight and see what she can make happen there. So it's a little bit disjointed in that aspect, and it's going to be extremely interesting to see what else they pick up to complement this. And this Orianna will work really well, again, with a team fight. Still kind of odd with the Nidalee, so I'm kind of curious as to how they'll make that work. The other side, though, Gragas and Jinx. Gragas, one of the strongest junglers we've had lately, together with Rek'Sai, and of course the Sejuani. But the Jinx is really interesting because she's so vulnerable.
Yeah, she is definitely vulnerable to a Sivir or an Aurelia jumping her, but also to the poking that Nidalee brings to the table. And I'm really curious if they want to pick Nautilus into the combo from Enigma, since Nautilus is known to be countered by a Morgana with the Black Shield and also the Dark Bindings.
The problem they have, though, is that they have virtually zero tank line. Aurelia will be a bruiser, yes. Maybe so will Nidalee. But who else is there to tank? Who else is there to soak up the damage from a Fizz and a Jinx who are already scary, and this mid lane pick still has yet to come out from Enigma, so they're gonna have even more damage, and the Palestinian soldiers need something to try and counteract that. I'm guessing that's why they picked up the Nautilus, and despite the the Morgana shield being there, it can only go on one person, and the depth charge out of Nautilus doesn't necessarily have to go onto the Jinx. They've now picked up Lux, who is very low on mobility herself, and can also be targeted that way. So Nautilus really has to be the one trying to start the fight, trying to crowd control the high priority targets of Lux and Jinx, and then the entire rest of the Palestinian soldiers have to try and take them out as fast as possible, because if they fail, they're just gonna die off of the overwhelming damage of a Jinx and Lux.
Yeah, definitely, but with the help of Sivir, then Nautilus can get into the face of Enigma faster, use his ultimate and just lock someone down for the picking. But Team Enigma does have some ways of protecting their AD carry or mid laner, since the Fizz will try to dive the backline, which will distract Palestinian soldiers. Also, the Gragas does bring a lot of peeling. Morgana has her Dark Shield. Yeah, so she can really just protect anyone from being locked down, and with the Lux having a lot of control over some areas with her abilities, then they do have a lot of ways to really keep Palestinian soldiers from engaging and jumping onto someone without taking too much damage or being locked down in the process of locking someone down.
Another interesting thing here is that Nautilus actually, after this entire champion select was basically over, switched from the Ignite over to the Exhaust. So he actually does want to stay a little bit more careful in the laning phase and not go for the super aggressive plays onto Jinx, which is kind of surprising me, because that's where I'd have expected Nautilus and Sivir, who are theoretically quite the bully combination, to try and take out the Jinx Morgana, shut them down early on, so you can then have the advantage in the mid and late game. They apparently think they need the Exhaust for the late game to shut the Jinx down a little bit then. However, it's going to weaken their early game, and that's where I would have definitely expected that lane to try and make the plays.
Yeah, I could expect them to actually do a lane swap, since they aren't doing the Ignite. The Ignite would, as you pointed out, really help them in the laning phase, but if you do decide to send your Sivir and your Nautilus to the top lane to try and shut down the Fizz or make him lose some money, then you don't really need the Ignite. Of course it does bring pressure, but then in Exhaust would be better for whenever you come out of the lane. But Irelia isn't the best in a lane swap as well, so it really is a double-edged sword for Palestinian soldiers.
So we'll be looking to see what they can do with that. Of course, just over a minute remaining on the spectator delay until we can finally get into this game and see how it plays out. Now the mid laners, we've got an Orianna against a Lux, and Orianna is traditionally a very safe champion to play. She sits back a bit, farms mainly with her Orianna ball. Her auto attacks are actually really painful from the get-go because of her passive, which adds that AP ratio to every auto attack that she has. And she picked up a cleanse as well, just to stay safer towards the late game. Those Morgana bindings are terrifying. When they hit you, they last so long that Orianna could just get taken out. Plus, there's the light bindings out of Lux, so if they combo those two, it's really scary out of Enigma. So to prevent that, she picks up the cleanse, is even safer now. The mid lane itself, though, is mainly going to just be a poke fest. I mean, what does Lux do? She sits back, throws her stuff out onto the lane, and farms happily for herself. Orianna, kind of the same thing, so I don't expect too much immediate kill pressure coming out there. However, if the junglers come around and actually manage to get a good gank in, that can very quickly turn it into one side's favor, and then just snowball from then on.
Yeah, it can definitely, and as you pointed out, the mid lane will not be the lane to look at, because of the lane will probably be very slow and mainly be about farming, since both the mid laners does bring a lot of damage once they get out of the lane, so just farming up till after the laning phase will probably help both teams just have a lot of damage, and being safe and not falling behind will probably be the first priority for Caps and Whoopity.
Alright, we are now on the loading screen, so it's almost time to see what actually happens and which team actually wins. I mean, Gragas is going to try and especially put on some pressure early on, whereas Nidalee really has to see where she goes with her jungle pathing and what lanes she can gank early on, because she is going to have a slight problem if she messes up even just a tiny bit. It's not that easy to make a Nidalee work in the current meta. You have to either get a lot of kills and because of that be very far ahead. Then you still have the choice, do I go full damage and try to poke the enemies out, or do I go for some HP and try to be an off tank for my team? So it's kind of back and forth and very curious that she picked that one up, so to speak. So I'm expecting Nake on that Nidalee to be very proficient at her, to have played her a lot, and because of that he feels so comfortable that he says, I can do it no matter what they throw at me.
Yeah, and to be honest, I would really have loved maybe a Sejuani being picked up, since she was being led through the whole pick and ban phase. With the Sejuani, you would have had a lot of CC for the Orianna and the Sivir to be able to dish out a lot of damage. You have a lot of damage from your carry top lane as well, so you get the poke damage from the Lee, of course, but I would have loved to see a tank line or maybe some more CC coming in for Palestina's soldiers. Also, a thing that you have to notice about the Nidalee is that in the mid lane you don't have a lot of CC, so you will probably see Nidalee being forced to go for the bot lane or for the top lane, where you do have the CC that can help you lock someone down and maybe even get a kill or a summoner.
Of course, but then again, top lane is a Fizz. Fizz is traditionally extremely hard to gank because he's got that dash to a minion, so if he's very far forward he can still use that to get out of the fight somewhat, and then he still has Playful Trickster as well. The bottom lane, you have Morgana, who with that black shield can negate some form of crowd control. So it's very difficult for Nidalee here to find the gank paths, and as you said, Sejuani might just have been much better. It would have also alleviated some of this necessity for tanking on the Nautilus, who's really being kind of pressured into that role where he has to be the frontline tank for his entire team. And now, as you mentioned, the lane swap comes out, but not out of the Palestinian soldiers, but actually out of Enigma.
Yeah, and I really like this lane swap for Enigma. Both teams could have gone with the lane swap. A Fizz is a fairly safe laner, as you said, with his E, where he can just jump away. So I really like the lane swap for Enigma because of Jinx having more damage in the late game than a Sivir. So with the Jinx having a really safe laning phase, you don't get so much pressure onto Sliver, so he's able to just focus on being that late game beast that Jinx is.
Interestingly enough, of course, the strategies differ a little bit. Aurelia wanted to start with the Raptor camp and then recall, teleport to the lane where she wanted to be. She still took the Raptors and is recalling now, which probably means that Vicky on his Aurelia will just go into the lane, whereas Gragas and Fizz are currently double jungling. They're picking up more minions and more experience, and then Morgana is currently hanging around the blue buff of the Palestinian soldiers, seeing if she can annoy the Nidalee there. And it turns out Aurelia doesn't actually want to go into the lane. She's going into the jungle, but that's not going to make anything easier because now she's behind already. So it's a very odd jungle start that is really has happened because of the lane swap being forced out of Enigma here, and they're completely freezing that top lane too, so there's no chance for any experience whatsoever.
Yeah, once Vicky decides to go into the top lane, he probably isn't going to get any gold because of the lane swap you mentioned from Sliver. And now Believer comes in.
Yeah, he's managed to get around to the mid lane. Cap's flashing away with that Orianna, but it's now with that Lux, I mean. It's not going to be enough because Orianna picks up first blood.
Yeah, and that's first blood for Palestina's soldiers, just knowing that you can roam with Believer, since there was no pressure in the bot lane, and you can just see in the bot lane right now that Diablo S is just pushing through and denying a lot of farm from Cactus once he decides to go into the bot lane.
Which is right now. He knows that the enemy support isn't there, so he can't be dived right away. But it was such a weird play out of Enigma, because they didn't see Nautilus in the bot lane. They had to assume he was going somewhere. Their own blue buff was taken, and they knew that the Palestinian soldiers knew that that had already been taken, because they were spotted out earlier. So where does Nautilus go when that kind of thing happens? Of course he's going to walk up to the mid lane, and for Lux to be that careless and not react at all is kind of weird. So she paid for it with her life, only has the boots now compared to the Chalice of Harmony already completed on Orianna. She's going to have a lot of magic resist and a lot of mana sustain in that lane now already. So definitely the first big advantage here over to the Palestinian soldiers, going to make it a lot harder for Enigma to get ahead in this game.
Yeah, and Palestinian soldiers are really applying a lot of pressure into the mid lane, and now it looks like they either want to go for the dragon or go for the bot lane.
Yeah,
Nico is in the bot lane though.
Nico is here, but the 4-man gank is coming in right now, and Cactus barely has any real chance of getting out of that. The flash hook actually misses, and then the body slam inside the tower. That makes them eat a lot of damage. Everyone walks away. Really well played from Cactus, though.
Very well played for Cactus, just baiting someone, and it's a bit of a shame that they didn't get the kill, Nico, with the body slam flash combo. And it just looks like they're gonna apply some pressure, and now Fortunate comes in to assist Nico.
Yeah, if he hadn't, that would have been the dive this time. So very nice move here from Enigma, getting the right amount of people into that bottom lane just in time to thwart the dive every time. And the Palestinian soldiers are committing 4 men to that bot lane. Now Nidalee in the mid lane again. Lux, you are so dead.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why Caps tried to stick around there, and actually he went over to the side of Palestinian soldiers jungle, so he didn't have any vision of Nake on the Nidalee, so Nake could have been anywhere. So a very questionable decision from Caps to just try and trade a bit with Wubadi.
In the early stages of the game, though, because Fizz was able to teleport down to the bot lane, he's been able to pick up a lot more farm. Aurelia having a little bit of a rough time so far, but once she recalled, she can buy an item, and now they're moving up to top lane. Nautilus and Orianna here, sitting just behind the wall. Now Jinx has seen them, and Sivir is shoving that lane as hard as she can. Morgana has made it up to the top lane in time, and Gragas is on his way as well, so that dive probably not working either. Meanwhile in the bot lane, they're just punching one another, and Aurelia actually getting out ahead.
Yeah, you can really see that Aurelia is getting out ahead with the damage, and she is also a very good early game bruiser, so Cactus has to be really careful, and in this game we can really see that Palestinian soldiers are the ones setting the pace. They have a lot of pressure from Nake, since the Enigma Gaming don't know where he is. He can't be anywhere, and he is applying pressure everywhere, and now he's in the mid lane again, but he decides to back away and head for the bot lane where Cactus is pushed up.
Yeah, Cactus here trying to get that lane shoved in, trying to get as many minions as possible. Meanwhile, top lane, of course, Jinx recalling. That means the pink ward goes down. However, Jinx, because she was allowed to free farm, already has that BF sword compared to only the pickaxe on the other side. At least that lane is going pretty well here for Enigma right now. The theoretical bot lane, because they're up in the top lane now, is doing well and are actually ahead. The only one really struggling is the mid lane. But Lux is someone who can stay safe, farm up, and then towards the late game still have an impact. So right now, not too bad yet for Enigma, but they need to be careful going forward with the next 10 minutes. Nidalee's down bot again, spotted out by a ward, so I don't think she'll be able to make anything happen.
Yeah, and Enigma definitely don't want to give a bigger lead to Palestinian soldiers. They are already behind 10,000, no, not sorry, 1,000 gold behind, and they definitely don't want to give any more, but now Nake is hanging around the bot lane.
Yeah, but just as it's shoving, and unless Fizz makes a big mistake, he gets stunned up, but he still has a Playful Trickster, dashes once, Playful Trickster's out, dodges the spear. No real danger yet, but they could still dive him. Where's that cooldown? Gragas sitting over the wall, there's a smite, and the fish already comes out. Nidalee's gonna go down to the tower, Fizz still kiting this, and Aurelia's completely out of mana. She's gonna go down over to the turret, double kill here. Well, one each for Fizz and Gragas.
And that was very well played for Enigma, just knowing the limit. Oh, that's a ult.
It's an ultimate in the mid lane. The ghost used by Lux as well, just to dodge out the ball coming out of Orianna. And they're just playing with one another. Neither one getting the kill, but definitely a little bit close.
Yeah, definitely a little bit close, and Caps is really not being scared of the two deaths he's already given up, and it looks like he wants to get the kill.
Yeah, he wants to go again because he has a blue buff and Orianna does not. Orianna's not able to spam as much, so Orianna naturally loses these trades right now. But with Nidalee coming around yet again, Lux gets hit by the spear, but it looks like she'll not get hit up. She's underneath the tower, good light binding. Nidalee managed to get the heal in just in time, but that was extremely close.
And that was 20 health she was left with.
Yeah,
Very close.
Another dive, and it almost went wrong again. They're not respecting the crowd control that Enigma do have. That light binding underneath the turret is not something that's allowed to happen to the Nidalee. The Grog is coming in for the beautiful counter gank in the bot lane, not something that's allowed to happen. When you want to go for these dives, you need to know how much crowd control you can deal with and where the enemy jungler is. And Palestinian soldiers didn't know, and they really got punished for that.
Yeah, and now Nico wants to steal a blue buff, but is lured away by Belieber on the Nautilus. But we can see that Enigma is actually ahead right now in gold, since they did get the 2 kills in the bot lane, and now Wupadi really wants to get the blue buff, and
Fizz
Fizz
is diving. He missed this fish though. All good. Sorry. Carry on.
Yeah, he did miss the fish, but now that Orianna has a blue buff, she can really start to duel a bit more with Caps on that Lux. And Nico is just hanging around the mid lane to see if Wupadi does make a mistake.
Everyone farming away happily. The CS lead up in the top lane expanded to about 17 right now. There are a couple minions still at the tower. Now Gragas is sitting around mid. He wants to come in here. They want to get that blue buff over to Lux, but the light binding misses. And with that, Orianna can just walk away from this. No real threat to her. But it keeps Lux a little bit safer. Just Gragas showing up every now and then means, hey, you can't just bully around my mid laner for days on end. Because Orianna's already got that Athene's and the Holy Grail finished, whereas Lux still trying to get that Morellonomicon out, and still doesn't have it either.
Yeah, with that Athene's and Holy Grail onto Wupadi, he does have a lot more cooldowns, and that's an ultimate from Caps.
Yeah, good ultimate, but meanwhile in the bot lane, the Nidalee Spear lands, dash from Fizz, not quite good enough. He still needs to use that Playful Trickster. He has it though. There it is, but it's not going to be enough because Nidalee still has her flash, follows him underneath the turret, gets the kill. Meanwhile, ultimate being burned in mid lane from Orianna, picks up the kill as well. 2 here in very quick succession for the Palestinian soldiers. Now the Nautilus ultimate on top, they're not even stopping at anything. Exhaust comes out, but Morgana is still very far up. They decide to finally peel away.
And things are just happening everywhere, and Wupadi might get taken down here.
Yeah, Niku in the mid lane, but the flash from Orianna might just be enough because there's Aurelia and a Nidalee coming up. They had started the dragon, might just go back to that. Fizz with a teleport though. I think everyone backs off. Meanwhile, Morgana, ultimate top. Jeez, guys, come on. They're coming down.
They are certainly not giving us a break, and it looks like the first dragon might go over to Enigma Gaming now.
Yeah, it was started earlier by Nidalee. She couldn't stick around. She didn't have any HP left. Orianna, obviously, badly injured as well after that mid lane skirmish. So the first dragon, after everything's said and done, over to Enigma. They're 800 gold behind still. No tower's gone down just yet.
Yeah, and that's basically just still farm lead in the mid lane and just the kills, because the Palestinian soldiers are losing a bit of farm everywhere else, and in the top lane we have a skirmish.
Yeah, Flash was forced out of Jinx, but that's all that's going to be said on this one. Of course, the exhaust went out from Nautilus, and it's very dangerous. The more often those Nautilus hooks hit a target like Jinx. Jinx doesn't have any mobility. She doesn't have a flash anymore now. Still has her heal, but the next time that hook hits, she's gonna be forced to use it and maybe still die. So Morgana needs to be quicker on the black shields, and Jinx needs to be a bit better at dodging those.
Yeah, but as long as Sliver just keeps on farming and keeps getting that golden com to be the late game beast that he really wants to become, there's not really any trouble for him. but he does need to be careful, and Diablo S does really have to be careful as well, since he only has the pickaxe while Sliver does have a beer sword. But
Which is why it's so impressive that Palestinian soldiers were coming out ahead on the trade.
yeah, exactly. But also, Diablo does have health pots while Sliver has none. So yeah, Nico's in the top lane.
Yeah, Nika's sitting around. The Black Shield once again a little bit late. Doesn't matter because they have the Flame Chompers and the Body Slam to keep Nautilus in place. Now in the bot lane, the Fish has already come out. Fizz kind of losing this trade, has to back out. Playful Trickster keeps him safe. And they were thinking about a dive in top lane, but with Nidalee coming around, they're going to peel away.
Yeah, things are just happening everywhere. Very well played for Enigma. But to be honest, Nico is really great at landing those flash body slam combos, which are always deadly or very close to being deadly. With the flash body slam combo, you will always be locked down and you will not really have any chance at getting away.
No chance whatsoever, especially with all the crowd control that could follow up between a Morgana binding the Flame Chompers out of Jinx, the Light binding out of Lux, and the Chum the Waters out of Fizz. So everyone's got something that can combo up. Now Nidalee and Orianna looking to get into the enemy's jungle, but there was a pink ward that kept spotting them, and of course Lux, Morgana, and Gragas all around that place. So a little bit dangerous. Now Nautilus trying to get a hook into the bot lane, dash away from Fizz, and the Playful Trickster will make sure he's far, far, far away from that.
Yeah, Cactus doesn't want to have anything to do with Irelia and Nautilus right now. And it... oh yeah, Orianna just got the blue buff. And for a second, Nate was just thinking about what he should do next. And it looks like he... oh wait, he didn't get the blue buff.
He's about to get it.
Yeah, he's about to get it.
The first star of the game gonna go down in this top lane though. Lux Steel, nice try, not gonna work out. So that's finally gonna get the gold advantage over to Enigma for the first time in this game, now that they've got the turret lead, and we can see Fizz picking up the Glacial Shroud. He was winning a couple of the skirmishes down in the bot lane, just because he had the red buff earlier, he had gotten that kill and an assist, but now he's gone down once himself, and really just wants a little bit more cooldown reduction plus some armor so he can better fight against the Aurelia, who's already got a Phage, Sheen, and is building up on the Zeal. Let's see whether Sivir can return the tower, though.
Yeah, not quite. He does have no vision of the enemy jungler and the enemy support, so not quite. But with the Glacial Shroud coming in from Cactus, he will probably be going for a Frozen Heart, which will help him in whenever he's diving the backline or whenever he's dueling the Irelia. So just putting down the attack damage, no, the attack speed coming in for him, and Caps might have been caught here.
Yeah, but Gragas is there as well. Doesn't matter because the Shockwave landed. One more auto attack is going to finish off the first kill. Nautilus is in the mix as well. The ultimate's already come out. Gragas going so low. Someone was still tanking the tower. Doesn't matter. Jinx finally picks up the kill with the Super Mega Death Rocket. Nidalee sat in a binding. Jinx is coming around, which is a little bit late to the party, so no more kills going to come of this one. It's 2 for 1 when everything's said and done. And, yeah, Palestinian soldiers playing that dive really, really well this time.
Yeah, they did a very good dive, and now that Vupati has gone down, he could go back and buy a needlessly large rod. So, whenever the dragon fight is gonna occur, if there is gonna be a dragon fight, then Vupati will have... oh, Vicky might be caught here.
Yeah, he might be caught, dashed backwards. The Orianna, the Morgana ultimate, I meant, is of course not available right now, but Jinx might still pick up the kill. The flash away forced, but here comes Nautilus. The teleport already being channeled. Morgana forced to flash away. Jinx is in a lot of trouble over to Nidalee, but they managed to get the kill with Fizz just in time. Jinx picks up the second one onto Nautilus. They both survive, barely.
And that allows Sliver to go back and get a seal before the next dragon fight. So, with Nake and Believer being down, Team Enigma will be able to get this tower, get some gold, and then go back and place... and once they come back, they can place a lot of wards to be able to get the next dragon very, very safely.
Yeah, so 10 seconds until that one's up. Gragas wants to see whether he can get the red buff first. Actually turns around, just plops the ward down. Gotta get that vision everywhere, all over the map. Now Jinx running down to the top bot lane. Of course, Sivir had pushed the top lane as hard as she could. No teleport from Fizz, but there is one on Aurelia. And right now, the Palestinian soldiers have more players around the bottom side of the map already. Nidalee hit the spear. She could go in for the smite fight. She gets it. The shockwave is dashed away from by Gragas. Now the fight in the backside. Lux there with a good binding. They're catching that Nidalee out of position. She was just chain CC'd, had nowhere to go. Nautilus still fighting the Lux, gets bound one more time, and I think that should be his end because there are just so many people chasing him. The kill being given over. Oh, they wanted Jinx to get that. Morgana takes it. Doesn't really matter. They can now push down the tower in the mid lane as well.
A kill is definitely a kill, and that wave clear coming in from Palestinian soldiers does a nice Enigma from getting the tower and getting some more objectives off of that fight.
It's a good steal by Nidalee. That's really what it comes down to. They traded one more kill. It was a 2-for-1 exchange in favor of Enigma, but the Palestinian soldiers got the dragon steal. And that's really what they wanted from that fight. They went in for the contest, don't mind dying at least with 1 or 2 people, and Aurelia got some free farm time. She's now finally catching up a little bit to the Fizz again, and is able to push this tower down as well. So very well played from the Palestinian soldiers, now getting to 3-2 in towers as well. Aurelia, you're probably dead, but she's trying to get the execute instead of giving gold over to anyone, and she might just manage if Fizz isn't fast enough. Oh, that's not gonna work. Nice try.
Yeah, very nice try indeed. But now we can see that Aurelia has the 24s.
Yeah, she's gotten where she wants to be.
Yeah, she does have a very big power spike now, and also Cactus having the Warden's Mail and the Glacial Shroud. He will have a lot of ways to just shut the attack speed of Diablo or Vicky in a team fight. He will be able to shut the attack speed down and basically just be a pain whenever he jumps in onto the backline of Palestinian soldiers.
And that's going to be exactly his job. His task is go to the backline, try to occupy Orianna and Sivir so long that we can kill everyone else. That's Fizz's job, and that's exactly what he'll try to do every fight that we'll see from now on. The interesting thing, though, is now 800 gold advantage for Enigma, despite being a tower down. So when they finally even out the turret score with that one in the mid lane, they'll actually be even further ahead. They'll bring that up to over 1,000. Now someone's caught in the mid lane, everyone backs off because spell shields are OP.
And Nick is just hanging around a bit in the top lane, trying to see if he can get in for a kill, but not quite enough. It is a Fizz, and he is very slippery, and in the mid lane, Enigma wants to even out the tower score, as you said.
They can't, though. Like, they need to catch first because Sivir and Orianna are so strong in terms of wave clear. The Boomerang Blade and a single dissonance out of Orianna will clear out the entire minion wave, and then Enigma is left with nothing to tank the tower. Now they've actually caught Nidalee. The flash body slam denied the fish landing. They still get the kill onto Nidalee, though. That's the catch I meant. And now they're going onto Orianna as well. No Chum the Waters left anymore, but the Zhonya's Hourglass blocks the Super Mega Death Rocket. Nidalee, Aurelia, sitting on the side, can't get into the fight until just now. The exhaust coming down onto her immediately. Meanwhile, Orianna went down over to Lux. Still 2 people, Jinx and Morgana, dueling the Aurelia. Flash away from Jinx will keep her safe. Lux took out Sivir, and that's a complete ace for only Gragas going down.
Very well played for Enigma, and that's the catch that they needed to get the tower and even out the score and even be further ahead than Palestinian soldiers. They are now 3,000 gold ahead, and they try to see if they can get another tower. They might be able to, but Nick is coming in to defend.
But the question is just what can he do right now? He can't jump in 1v2. He'd just die. Here he tries now, but the Morgana binding was down. The Jinx rockets were too. She still goes super low. Will survive this time. Nautilus now trying to get the hook. He does land. Has to be careful. There's a lot of follow-up. The exhaust goes down onto Jinx. Morgana is the one he actually tries to kill, and that might mean his death. He didn't have the damage. Morgana walks away with about 5 HP, and Lux picks up the kill. This snipe is real. And it's just... Palestinian soldiers are falling apart after that team fight. Now they're scrapping. They're looking for anything to try and get them back into this game.
Yeah, they are looking for miracles, and Enigma Gaming are just taking any advantage that they can, and they are really starting to pull far ahead. it looks like Palestina soldiers don't really know what to do, and they look very confused. And once the towers have gone down for Palestina soldiers and for Enigma Gaming, they don't really know how to get into the base of Enigma.
And I think a lot of that issue is with Nidalee being so squishy. She's trying to build up that Rod of Ages to have any amount of tank line, but up until then, we just saw it. She got caught, she died within half, or like 1.5 seconds. Her team was trying to come to help, but it was too late, and because they were still running when she was already dead, all of them got caught in the follow-up. And that's really what decided that entire team fight. Nidalee died too fast. The rest of the teams was still running into the fight, they got taken out, and that really cost them all that, you know, all those deaths, and almost two turrets in the mid lane. They at least saved the inner one. Now Dragon is coming back up in 20 seconds. They stole the last one. They really want to get this one as well, just to deny that 5 Dragon threat for just a little while longer.
Yeah, and you can definitely see how much Enigma wants this dragon. They have around 6 wards at the dragon pit, so there's really no easy way for Palestina soldiers to get into the dragon pit without being seen or going down.
Fizz has moved down now as well, so the fight might just happen. All 5 members from the blue team are now jumping onto Fizz, but he's so slippery. Playful trickster to get himself out of that. And Jinx is still hanging around the dragon pit. She's, I think, currently doing the dragon all by herself. Gragas comes around just to secure that, so Dragon, without any kind of contest, goes over to Enigma just because the Palestinian soldiers had no chance to contest. Chum the Waters goes wide, team fight not gonna happen.
Yeah, there's no team fights going at it, and to be honest, Palestinian soldiers won't be too sad about giving up that dragon. It is only the second dragon. The dragons you really want to contest are number 1, 3, and 5, since 3 gives the movement speed and number 1 gives attack and ability power, while of course the 5 gives the true damage, and you would never allow your opponents to get true damage. But now Palestinian soldiers are just gonna clear some vision and get a bit of gold. A thing I'd like to talk about is you can see that in the mid lane, Caps was really shut down in the early game, but now he's actually just 200 gold behind.
Yeah, he's done a very, very good job of coming back in this game. He's now got 6 kills. He was 0 and 4. Now he's 6 and 4 and 2. This guy has cleaned up in the last 2-3 fights. He's just been able to get a couple kills here and there, and it's really helped him. After that last fight, he picked up the Rabadon's Death Cap. Now has another Blasting Wand in there as well, so he's getting incredibly scary. And Lux, when fed, can ruin your entire team fight with that single final spark. We saw earlier that sniped about a third of Nidalee's HP. When Nidalee is that squishy, you know, imagine what happens when she eats that final spark before the fight even starts. She's basically already useless, and now look at this one. Fizz and Jinx from over the Baron wall are sneaking this. Fizz is tanking, and Jinx has enough attack range to go over the wall. Lux is showing in the mid lane, so the Palestinian soldiers have no no inkling that this could even be going on. Fizz going very well though, very low though, but because he has a smite, easily secured. What a play out of Enigma, and there was absolutely no expectation on the side of the Palestinian soldiers that that could be happening. Now they're trying to force the fight. Nautilus just going into the black shield. Morgana is the target of everything. They're burning so much to get on top of her. Now in the backline there's a Fizz who's going on to Orianna and Sivir and Nidalee is what I wanted to say. They've already lost one member. Aurelia has gone down. They finally traded back for the Fizz, but they don't have ultimates left. They don't have any abilities left to keep chasing. They lose a second one. Jinx with a quadra kill when that is over, and Gragas picking up the 5th for the ace. That was ridiculous.
Are you excited?
I am, but I mean, like, how can that happen? How do you allow that to happen? I mean, obviously it was a desperation move. They saw the Baron went down, and they said, we have to do something, and we have to do it now. So they tried to get an engage on, but you can't just headlessly rush onto a Morgana support with over 3 ultimates, leaving your backside completely exposed, even when a teleport comes in. That is just so reckless, and they got extremely punished for that one.
Yeah, not a very smart choice for Palestina soldiers, but this game was all about Enigma Gaming waiting for their power spikes to come in and